Hi guys, it's Maya here again, and I'm back at you with another YouTube video, and this one is a brutally honest Q&A. I was inspired by one of my favorite YouTubers, Kalal, who recently did a brutally honest Q&A, and I thought it was so refreshing. She really answered everything and anything quite truthfully. And I wanted to do the same with you guys, give a little life update, talk about all of the dirty gossip and details that you want to know. So I asked you guys over on Instagram to send in your questions, and I'm going to answer them as best as I can. If you guys aren't already, you should follow me over on Instagram and TikTok so that you can get the most up-to-date information about what's going on in my life and so that you can participate in Q&As like today. Everything is linked down below. What happened with your boyfriend? So if you guys don't know, I did have a boyfriend that I shared on YouTube many years ago before the pandemic, and things kind of ended, I want to say 2020. Yeah, fall, no, was it fall 2020? No, I think it was actually, it was either fall 2020 or fall 2021. It's all a blur at this point, let's be honest, guys. But basically, he went to go live in Mexico nomadically for a while, and we didn't want to do long distance relationships. That was right when I got Elio. So I would say that was fall 2021, if my memory is serving correctly. That's kind of when we like stopped having like a serious relationship or anything like that, and moved on with our lives. We had kind of like breaks in between our relationship, and it was quite long. And I remained friends with him up until I want to say now. Pretty recently, we stopped talking to each other, and we've kind of dropped each other on socials and stuff. I think it's just part and parcel of what needs to happen in order to move to the next chapter of my life. Same with him as well. You can't really move on with your life in a relationship kind of way if you kind of have a little part of yourself reserved for someone. And if I was to start seriously dating someone else as well, I don't think that they would be comfortable with me being good friends with my ex. So it wasn't something that was meant to last forever. I am a single Pringle. I'm slowly starting to mingle, but basically, yeah, I don't have a boyfriend. That's what happened with it. There was really no drama or beef. I know there was some like drama way back in the day. Like it wasn't like legit 100% drama, but it was a bit of drama. But that's all water under the bridge. Everything's cool now. And I'm on the prowl. No, I'm kidding. This is a funny one, but do you break wind in front of your friends? Of course. I mean, certain friends you have that kind of rapport with, and we call them fart friends, or are you fart friendly? And basically, like, yeah, just ripping ass. Who cares? My friend Lauren is the queen of ripping ass. Like, she breaks the ice. Probably literally too, with her flatulence. Girl, you never told us your recommended bras. Girl, I have a $10,000 boob job. I don't even really wear bras anymore. That's a lie. Like once in a while, I might wear something like with a specific outfit because obviously you don't want your nipples poking through. But I don't really wear bras for, you know, lift or for support or for padding. So I don't really have great recommendations there. But I do know Victoria's Secret has some really cute ones. So that's what I go to sometimes. I want to get top surgery, but still not 100% sure, was it worth it? I think it's a very individual thing that you have to decide for yourself. For me, I was kind of like anti-surgery for a long time. I just reached a point in my life where I wasn't comfortable with how I looked in bathing suits or certain tops. I never went bra shopping, all that kind of stuff. And I just felt like there was a part of me that was missing, being so tall, 5'9", and having like literally nothing, like a board, flat, which is also fine. Who cares? You know, just do what you want to do. It was kind of an experiment for me. I knew I wasn't going to be satisfied in life if I didn't try it. I'm a girl who needs to try something to know if she doesn't like it. And overall, I'm really happy. I've really grown into them. I would say the first year or two, I was kind of like wondering, like, do I regret my decision? I don't know. It feels weird to have implants. But at the end of the day, I do really like them. I like the way they turned out. I love the way they look in outfits. And they've given me a lot of confidence in that way and helped me feel a bit more feminine about myself. So use that information how you will. Some people hate them. Some people think they get in the way. They definitely are noticeable depending on what surgeon you go to. So you're not going to get 100% natural look, but I think mine turned out pretty good. Would you rather have sex with a horse and no one knew about it, or not, but everybody thinks you did? What are these questions? I definitely think I would not have sex with a horse, but everyone thinks I did because I could live with myself knowing the truth and knowing my integrity. Whereas if I had sex with a horse, I would like feel so disgusting and have like all that guilt and like no one knew. Like, I don't know. I feel like I would have a mental breakdown. Can you reach an O by stimulating your girl? So specific. I said I was going to do a brutally honest Q&A, so I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm a girl who needs a little bit of penetration to get to where I need to go. That's all I'm going to say, so I don't get demonetized and striked. How's dating life going post GRS? After your breakup, we haven't heard of any new dates. Yeah, so I haven't really been dating much. I'm starting to get back into that now. It's kind of a weird world to navigate because I was always dating pre-op beforehand. And I felt like when I told people I was trans, I was basically disclosing my downstairs is different than what you're used to in a partner. But now I almost feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by telling people I'm trans only because they have a preconceived idea of what that means and it's not true for me anymore. So I definitely have that struggle. I'm like, I don't know, when do I tell them? How do I tell them? And with, social media and the prevalence of trans, awareness, for good and for bad in the media and everywhere, bombarding us all the time, I feel like people already all have opinions now about what it means to be trans. And I feel like for a lot of people, they're now not as curious as they used to be, and they have an immediate negative reaction to it. So I've been kind of dealing with that a little bit, just in terms of people not even wanting to hold a conversation or ask questions anymore or be curious. And I think that's as well something that people are afraid to do because obviously it's not appropriate to ask what's in someone's pants when you're first talking to them. But if you're considering dating someone, that's definitely something you're going to want to know eventually. So people maybe just opt to just completely veto trans people in general because it's such a sensitive topic in our culture. So I don't know. There's so many things that I'm kind of starting to think about now that I'm going back into dating post-op. I will say I have no problem going to bars and meeting guys, and like people are attracted to me, and like I've had those moments. But how I fit in as a trans woman, it's kind of weird because in a lot of ways I don't even feel trans anymore with regard to dating. Like I kind of just feel like an infertile cis woman because of the way my anatomy looks, how I perform as a partner, and all this stuff, all of those intimate details in life. I feel like I blend in almost too well now to the point where it seems like redundant to go around telling people that I'm transgender. Like it feels like I'm like warning them about something that just isn't something they need to be warned about, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. It's so hard to say because obviously you want to like have transparency as a person, and like I would never be in like a long-term relationship if they didn't know. But it's difficult, I will say. It's hard to like figure out how to disclose things and like, you know, I'm figuring it out though. I'm kind of like newly back on the scene. What's your natural hair color? So this is probably the closest that I've been able to get my hair to my natural hair color since I dyed it blonde all the way back in like 2015. So yeah, this is probably the closest. It's a little bit darker if you can see my roots, but I definitely have a medium to light brown hair color. How did you handle days where you felt lost in your transition? Those days I definitely recommend tapping out because your transition should allow you to live your life with greater ease and not necessarily be something that adds more stress to your life. So if it's adding way more stress to your life, you're not enjoying life, XYZ, you need to really evaluate why that is and address those problems. Could be environmental, could be the people you're surrounded by, or it could be that transition isn't as fulfilling for you, and you need to like take a step back and realize, okay, is this really for me? So stuff that I also do as well is tap out of transition. So like I don't like to think about being trans all the time. I feel like it's just too much. Like we don't need to always be concerned with the topic. I find it overwhelming. At a certain point, you want to reach in your life where you can just say, hey, I'm Maya. Like I'm not any one label anymore. Like I'm just moving on with my life, And I think when I feel the most lost in my transition is when I'm overthinking it. Would you ever consider getting a car? Are you kidding? I would love a car. Like I've always wanted one. I feel like it would be the ultimate freedom. But in Toronto, it's so expensive. And I just was like apartment, car, And so I had to choose apartment. Like I'm not going to live in my car. But I am working hard to save money to eventually buy a car. I really hope I can soon. Let's make these dreams come true. Would you ever consider putting Brazil on your travel list? Of course I would. One of my best friends lives there and she has a cafe that she opened. It's called Tascone Cafe. If you guys are in Brazil, you should check it out. So many amazing vegan options and I would love to visit her and go see her cafe and stuff and try everything because love her and I know it's probably amazing. How would you describe your life post GRS? So I would describe it as pretty much the same as before. However, I have a lot more comfortability in life. There were so many things I used to always be worrying about in the back of my mind prior to surgery. Like, do I have a bulge? Like, I can't go to the beach. I can't do swimming. I can't do this. I can't do that. I felt less comfortable in my own body and in feminine spaces. Now I feel like seamlessly blending in and out of, just cis culture and feeling comfortable in my body and in society. And I feel like it's done wonders that way. I have had moments, obviously, where I was like, was I making the right choice? I have these complications that I've had to deal with, like granulation tissue and like all these questions I had. Was this, the right choice for me? Will I ever experience pleasure again? But with time, with healing, and with, support of my loved ones, I was able to just get rid of all those fears and live my best life. So that's honestly how I feel post GRS. Sex or chocolate? I'm gonna have to choose. I think at this point in my life, I would choose sex. I would. Really good sex, for sure, hands down. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Really? Okay, okay. I mean, I'm a dreamer, so I'm not going to manifest anything that I don't want. I hopefully see myself realistically in 10 years when I am 38, hopefully married, have a kid or kids on the way, whether that's through adoption or surrogacy. Also, having purchased my own home, whether that's a condo or an actual house with a yard, and have a career that I'm so passionate about and an outlet to be creative and to express myself. Those are the things that I would like within 10 years. Oh, and a car, of course, a car. How old were you when you had sex for the first time? I believe I was 21. I want to say 21, yes. A little bit of a late bloomer, but it's all on your own time. Now that you're a beautiful woman, do you still get haters making comments? I mean, of course. I will say, if people know I'm trans, they're inclined to leave hate comments about me being trans. However, if they don't know I'm trans, then I really get no hate comments. So if it's on TikTok or an Instagram reel or, an algorithm feeds my content that's not trans related to people that don't know I'm trans, then I get such a positive feedback. It must be so nice just being cisgender. Sometimes I wonder if being stealth was the way to go because it just seems so overwhelmingly filled with hate in the world for trans people. And I feel like in many ways I would have been more successful by now if I just was stealth, but it's what it is. You got to advocate for what you believe in. And I was trying to, set an example and be, a voice for people who are in the shadows. Have you been on any dates recently? What was the best and worst one? I haven't really been on any dates recently, to be honest. I hopefully will go on some in the future and let you guys know. But yeah, I haven't been on a date in a long, long time. My designer is getting very dusty. Do guys stop dating you once they know you are a trans woman? How do you cope with such issues? I will say, I've noticed on dating apps, I'll match with pretty much any guy on a dating app that I want to match with. But then after we match, they will, on occasion, quite often, just unmatch me out of the blue without even saying a word. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I'm like, oh, they must have read my profile for the first time after we matched and saw that I'm a trans woman and then decided that that wasn't for them without even having a conversation with me and asking about it and just swiped away because our culture these days is very shaming towards men. So if they were to ask me a question, who knows, maybe I would screenshot it and put them on blast and dox them and name drop them and get them fired from their job. You know what I mean? You never know what could happen in today's culture, and I feel like that's so toxic. And it comes back around to get us in the end, Whenever I've called people out, it's always been anonymous. It's always been, a lesson to be learned about how you treat people. And I would never, dox someone as a learning lesson. So I encourage other trans women to stop that kind of behavior because it's only going to circle back around and make everyone else's lives more difficult. Because then people are just going to want nothing to do with trans people because we're a liability, So something to think about for sure. How much money and effort does being an influencer compare to a 9-to-5? Honestly, it's a different kind of effort because you are working nonstop. I work on the weekends, I work after hours, I wake up in the morning and work on my phone. It's like your life is just inseparable from your work, and that adds so much stress. You don't know when your next paycheck's coming, when your next sponsorship's happening. I really envy my friends and family that do 9-to-5s and they can clock in and out. I'm so jealous, and in some ways I sometimes consider doing that as well because I just feel like the flexibility is nice that I have, but the consistency is like very challenging. And sometimes it doesn't feel as rewarding, especially if you're making a lot less money like me than like some of your friends are making, just doing like 9 to 5, clock in and out, and then enjoy the weekend. So very like, sometimes you'll get a great sponsorship and make a bunch of money. Sometimes you get invited to cool events. There's glitz and glam to this job, but then there's also like a dark side too. So I would say it's if you're risk averse, you do not want this lifestyle for sure. Are you rich? No, I'm not. I mean, I try to project that, I think, based off of my childhood. I grew up very, very poor. We all had an awareness of this growing up in my household. And so we kind of had this like image that we tried to present of, just being like everyone else, even though we really had not much. I had a single mom, I had 4 younger sisters. I was kind of like a co-parent child, like where I was like, the second parent helping raise my mom's kids, like my sisters. I mean, I was mostly just like babysitting, whatever, and I probably wasn't like the best, co-parent child. But that was kind of my life growing up. So I definitely didn't come from like any nepotism or any kind of privilege in terms of like, class or anything like that. So don't think that at all. Any more surgery or gender affirming care? I would say I've considered getting my trachea shaved down and getting my chin just like slightly less bulbous, but those are things that just float in my mind every so often. Nothing crazy. I'm kind of over my surgery journey and I'm on my self-love journey. So that's where we're at with that. But those are the two things that I would have thought of. I may be just like experimenting a little bit with like lip filler or something. I don't know. Just like lightly, nothing crazy. Just like testing it out, Is it possible for a man to be in a relationship with a trans woman? Of course it is. I think it's very, very possible. I don't have a lot of like people that I look up to necessarily that are in relationships. I think that's kind of what's disparaging to me is there's not a lot of, public figures in relationships with trans people. I know Hunter Schafer and Dominic Fike were recently in a relationship, and that was like really, really nice to see. So I just hope that there's more stuff like that in the future, and people just don't care as much about labels and stuff. So I think it's very possible for men to be with trans women, for women to be with trans women, for trans people to be with trans women. Like it's just, it just depends what your comfort level is and who you're into. I feel like we're as a society moving more towards the person rather than the label. And so that's what I hope happens. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today for the brutally honest Q&A. I hope I answered your questions as brutally honest as you expected. As always, I try to keep things transparent, and I'm looking forward to creating more content for you guys this fall. We're going to be really getting into beauty, fashion, skincare, and just like daily vlogs, us hanging out. We always live stream together. We have a cute little family here, and I think it's only going to grow. It's going to become iconic. We're going to break the internet. I think it's going to be amazing. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to know when I'm live streaming. Don't be afraid to follow me on all my socials down below. I also do Twitch streaming as well. I'm a little bit of a gamer girl up in here. So right now I'm doing Zelda Tears of a Kingdom, but I will also be doing Assassin's Creed in the future, Sims, some new releases that are coming out this fall as well. So stay tuned for that. As always, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.